launch it, and if they're not ready, well, they're going to have to be ready, because we're ready, and we're starting game number 1 right now. So here we go. It is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm having an issue with my overlays right now, but there we go. Welcome to dogao versus TheMax. Not a black screen, but in fact, Age of Empires 2. We have the first game of the day, day 2 of Europe East ECL 1v1. First of many stages and many mini tournaments to come. Joining me once again today, Killer B. Thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure.
Zach, thanks for having me, man, and thanks for making this tournament happen. It's going to be a great set of matches, I think, here between dogao and TheMax. These two guys are really kind of legendary players of the game. I can't wait to see this one as it rolls forward. Yeah, man, thanks again. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I've got my matching pants and socks on today, and we're ready to go. And one thing I've noticed straight away is Max, he's playing in the blue here, as the Mongols, no less, coming forward with a scout to try and lame a boar, lame a villager, see what he can find. And he's certainly going to be a thorn in dogao's side. dogao playing in the red here as the Italians. Lovely non-mirror matchup to start the day. And, oh boy, am I hyped. I am so ready. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting matches of the day. I think these guys are incredibly close competitors. And I think Max, we see him a lot in team games, but I can't wait to see him in 1v1.
Zach, they are incredibly closely matched. And for those of people out there who really put a lot of stock in rating, TheMax is rated 2,400 right now on Voobly. dogao is rated 2,401. So,
wow,
easy win for dogao.
Wow, I tell you what, I'm so glad you're here because you always bring the stats to the table, and I know I can rely on you to bring some stats out like that. Appreciate it very much. But yeah, we see the boars coming in right now. We see Max, he got away with 1 sheep, but I think dogao's going to claim that back. And all in all, quite an even start for both players on cross here.
Yeah, Max got out early to try to lame. He was actually maybe even a moment earlier than he wanted to be. That villager had not aggroed the boar that he was thinking about laming. Getting out early with the Mongol scout makes a lot of sense, but now TheMax will return home, push a couple of deer, and get his economy rounded out properly. Both guys with 4 vills on wood. We expect on cross often to see a dock and some early fish to keep your economy boosted. And then maybe we'll see these guys shift into some feudal age aggression. But for now, Zach, it's an even match. Just looking over the maps a little bit, I noticed dogao in the red has 3 gold piles that are all sitting next to each other. So that, I think, is not ideal for him. Maybe a key focal point of this match.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, this is really important area of the map for him, you know, especially since this map does have water elements as well. You know, there's no trash for the water. And I think he's going to want to try and close this side off as best he can, perhaps between the 2 wood lines. It's quite a big wall off, but I think it's one that he'll be very likely to take. On the other side of the map, Max's golds are a bit more spread out, but his main gold is a little forward, a little bit difficult to sort of protect that. But he does have a gold a bit further to the north, which is behind a tree line. Also not great. And I think both players here, not the best gold positioning. I think dogao's maybe a little better. If he can wall it, it's going to be safe. But if he is breached in this area, then he loses all of his gold income. Whereas at least Max, his gold isn't in great position, but he can always retreat and go to another gold mine if he gets pushed in one place.
Yeah, it's a very good point. These golds from TheMax are not clustered, but they are a bit awkward. I am actually noticing dogao attempting to steal a couple of Max's sheep. Max has been pushing deer, of course, with the Mongols' wild food gather bonus. He's getting as many deer as he can. Won't miss those sheep incredibly, but it is a bit annoying. And if TheMax can get him back home, he could benefit from a few more sheep. Going to be an interesting match to see how quickly dogao goes up, or rather TheMax goes up. Ooh. He's been powering down on food, and it looks like he will be clicking up here pretty soon.
Yeah, well, something I've just noticed looking over at Max's dock, his fishing ships, oh, never mind. I thought he was taking the short fish, but he's got a really beautiful dock with 2 big fish right next to it. I mean, that is ultimate efficiency right there. The fishing ships don't even have to move. They're just kind of hauling the fish from the nets and just sort of, they've formed a chain of men who were just passing it off the boat onto the dock. It's perfect for him. And dogao has a pretty similar situation on his dock as well. I think both players with really nice docks this game. Just something I wanted to kind of point out. But we do see both players now going up to the feudal age. They've both got 20 vills. They've both got 3 fish. It's as close as it's going to get right now. And we see Max transitioning out pretty much all of his villagers over to the wood, even 4 going out to the gold, which looks very typical of a Grush or a Fire Galley Rush build order. But I don't see any kind of sneak villagers going out here or anything. So perhaps he could... It's interesting, right? I mean, he could potentially go straight into archers with this build order, but you have to kind of question, okay, well, 4 to gold, I mean, everything out to wood, that's pretty typical of a Grush build. And now you see the villager moving out from Max.
Yeah, it's not uncommon, like you said, to sneak a villager forward and try to dock your opponent's pond. Max could try to do that here. For now, that villager is roaming out into no man's land. We'll keep one eye on him as it rolls forward. dogao on the other side of things is walling up and preparing for maybe some feudal aggression. He might be anticipating that from his opponent, but he's thinking about that aggression coming on land. Meanwhile, that villager continues to creep to the north for the Max. Interestingly, though, that's not where dogao has docked, and the Max would know that because he found dogao's base. So.
Yes.
Max must have something in mind here with this Vil.
I think he's going the long way around. I mean, he knows where the dock's going to be, and I think he's just, instead of running through the middle of the map, he's going all the way around. He may run into this wolf, but that should be fine. But dogao's scout is actually hovering around the back of his base here, and this could be pretty unlucky for Max. I mean, it shows to me that maybe dogao has a little bit of awareness that this could be happening, or he's just... I don't know, kind of thinking, okay, I'll keep my scout around here to make sure I can get a wall off safely. But I'm wondering if Max is actually going to get away with this or not here.
Yeah, maybe not. dogao is circling around behind, like you said. For now, the scout seems to be walking away from the action. Max, by the way, did find that wolf, but did take it down. Interestingly, that is not within dogao's field of view, so he's not going to be able to see, well, shouldn't be able to see the corpse, I suppose. Little scout war going on, Zach, but nothing too much so far.
No, and it's interesting. I mean, we said that dogao needs to wall his map. He's absolutely walled the south. That's going to be so important. But dogao going straight into stable scouts here. And the Mongols, not doing what you would expect from the Mongols, started with an archery range, and then added a stable as well, and then goes into scouts as well. It's quite a nice build order from Max. This is not something that you see all too often, starting with a range and then adding scouts. Normally it's the other way around, and I'm curious as to why he's done that, actually.
I'm not sure what the Max is up to. He's got a lot going on. Like you said, 2 ranges down, a stable down, and he's trying to dock his opponent's pond. Yeah, here's some raiding coming in from dogao.
Yeah, that's a villager down. Nicely done by dogao there. Max doesn't close his walls in time, and dogao there pretty happy with that. Villager and a scout for just his own scout, as I guess Max is going to try and counterattack with the archers here.
Yeah, Max looks like he's pushing out with a bit of a mixed army. 2 scouts, a couple archers, and a spear. I don't really know if dogao is going to have too much trouble with this, but we'll find out. For now, no fletching is in on those archers, so he doesn't have a ton to fear. We will see a quick archery range drop down by our player in red and a couple of skirms coming out. Meanwhile, the Max does dock that back pawn, Zach, and as far as dogao can see, he doesn't know about it just yet.
Yeah, that's lovely. If you can catch dogao off guard here, he's going to take a big fish advantage. And, you know, if you've got a lot more fish than your opponent, you're going to have a lot more economy. And Max as well, finding a villager kill from dogao in his base. He's even going to find, I think he's going to find another one as well here. But he wants to be careful of the skirmishers, so he's going to try and focus them down with the scouts. And, well, dogao's own scouts come into play. But dogao, I mean, this is the thing. Once you start with an opening of archers, dogao's just immediately going to start putting down some archery ranges and going skirms. And Max going perhaps a little bit deep here. Can't really take a fight since he's countered quite hard. And now he's actually trapped as well.
Yeah, Max is trying to do a lot of things at once, and so far it's been ensuing a little bit of chaos into dogao's match, but dogao seems to be reacting well on land. Meanwhile, though, Zach, that fire galley coming up for the Max onto dogao's pond is going to wreak havoc on a 8 fishing ship economy with a 9th fishing ship on the way. So dogao's going to be very hurt by this.
Absolutely, and dogao will make a fire galley as well, but by the time it comes out, Max has probably killed most of those fishing ships off already. And I've got to say, I mean, so far on the land, dogao has been looking fantastic. He's got 10 kills, 7 deaths, and he actually, I don't know, he's sending a villager out right now. A little bit close to losing it. I think he'll keep it alive, as the archers surely will get taken out by these skirms, or they're just going to walk straight past each other. I don't know. I can't believe dogao he's kept that villager alive with 1 health right there. It's quite sloppy though, to be honest.
The invincible villager, but a little bit of a sloppy exchange there for dogao. Lost several scouts. Max is going home, but I think that's going to slow dogao's aggression a lot. By the way, second fire galley is on that back pond for the Max, so he continues to hold dogao's pond hostage, and he continues to kill fishing ships. That can't really be understated. I mean, that's a huge investment of wood for dogao to build all those ships, and the Max is punishing him for it in the back of his eco.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting as well here is that Max hasn't himself added too many fish. He's actually only gone for 4 fish. And he's actually got quite a few farms up right now. He's got, in fact, a pretty similar amount of farms as dogao. And I kind of thought that Max would have perhaps gone a bit more heavy onto the water himself. But maybe he was also a little bit worried about the potential for a surprise dock. But he's walled his map off now. So I don't see why he hadn't added more ships already. He has added a 5th now. But it can't be said enough just how valuable having those fish are, having that food income from the water is. For the time being, though, he's actually going to start fishing on dogao's pond as well, since he's fairly confident he'll have that.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing about. Right as you were saying, he should get some more fish rolling. He does, but not exactly where you might have expected it. Makes sense since he controls that pond. But yeah, for now, the Max is actually going to dock the pond in the north as well. So Max is really excited about fishing here, and he has done some damage to dogao in that sense. Dogao on the way to the Castle Age, though, could punish the Max, maybe. Not sure if he will, but Max is spending a lot of wood and a lot of resources kind of spreading out many different avenues at once. And if dogao can make a big land push in the Castle Age, he might get a lot of value back.
Yeah, and this is nice here. dogao goes down to the south to build the dock, and a single archer from Max will see that villager and send her packing. That dock's not going to happen, and meanwhile in the north, Max has taken this pond. So right now, Max has 3 of the 4 ponds, including, quite funnily, the pond that is behind his enemy's base, which is just brilliant. But that's actually quite nice, and obviously if he can deny this fishing from dogao, he's really going to start to pull an advantage out because of that. But like you say, dogao will be first to the Castle Age. The question is, can he do any damage? He's got 2 stables, he's probably going knights, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do the damage here quite comfortably at all.
It's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, Mongols not going to be too threatened, walled in with a couple stable knights coming at them. If that is the case, I don't think dogao is going to break in and do much. Like we said, Max spreading himself a little bit thin resource-wise, spending so much resource on all corners of the map. But in a few minutes of game time, he's going to have a massive advantage. I mean, these fish that he's invested in, 10 of those fish still fishing away happily. His Castle Age will come in soon, and he's going to continue to have his economy rolling full speed. By the way, dogao is trying again to dock that southern part of the map, so it looks like he will get some fishing ships on the map.
Yeah, he'll get something. But, you know, I think although the fish is incredibly valuable, and that can't be said enough, it's not absolutely necessary. I mean, we saw some great games yesterday where players actually did win without controlling the fish. I think most notably the Mateus versus Hart game, where Hart was fishing all game. Mateus didn't even build a fishing ship and still managed to pull a victory. So it is possible, but it certainly does leave you at a bit of a disadvantage when you're down 12 fish here. Max now has a lot of crossbow as well, and this is something that's quite nice for him right now because dogao doesn't have that many knights. He doesn't have bloodlines. He's only just getting +2. Don't think he's going to be able to comfortably engage these crossbow at all, as you can see quite clearly right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, dogao doing a flyby through those crossbows and taking a ton of damage. We'll even see 1 knight from the Max in the mix. No upgrades on that, but you don't really need upgrades to kill skirms. So our player in blue is rolling forward with the Castle Age army. He's got a couple villager advantage and a big fish advantage. dogao's response to this is a defensive siege workshop. And dogao's on 3 TCs, and I believe the Max is still on 2. So yeah. dogao, oh, there's the 3rd one for the Max.
Well, I was going to say that this siege workshop is actually, well, it's going to get denied, but this is Max forcing dogao's hand here. dogao doesn't want to have to build a siege workshop, but because Max already has so many crossbow, he has no choice, and now he's got a big problem. A, the siege workshop's now been denied, and B, he breached the wall here, and all the gold is currently under pressure. He's got 5 gold miners, but it's not very safe at all. He's not going to be feeling too good about his situation here, as Max is going to camp this wood line and do quite a bit of eco damage as well. And like I say, denying that siege workshop's a pretty big deal on top of that.
Yeah, and dogao here continues to have big investments. First, his dock and his fishing ships get knocked down by the Max. Now his investment into 3 TCs becomes a bit of a wasted investment because he's going to have to idle 2 of those TCs for the time being so that he can make knights. So Max is really leading the dance and forcing dogao to react. And so far, dogao has not exactly taken any efficient fights that make this worthwhile for him.
No, and it's going to be hard to do that now. It's going to get harder as well as Max starts to add in cavalry archers. It's got 2 ranges doing cavalry archers, and he's adding some knights as well. Look how much food Max has right now. He's got 750 food. That is just ridiculous. Obviously, he's going to have no problem keeping his TCs working full time. And, you know, he can even use this food then for extra upgrades. He could sell some of this food to improve his Imperial Age time. He has a lot of options on his table right now, and I like Max's position so much, especially since he's on this hill, and he's kind of making gold collection a little bit awkward for dogao. I think he could probably do more to hit this gold here, but he probably wants to hold the hill while he can.
Zach, I got even worse news for you. Unfortunately, the Max has docked that southern pond and has cleaned up 4 fishing ships from dogao there. So if things weren't bad enough for dogao, he will lose that southern pond as well.
Yeah, so it's just going to make it even easier for Max now to pull ahead in economy, and we can see now dogao's going to make the play. He's just finished Bloodlines. He's going to push up the hill. He finishes off his Siege Workshop as well. If he can clean up these units, it's going to be pretty good for him, and you know, he might just have enough knights to do it. So dogao pulling himself up by his bootstraps, getting himself back into this game, and nice play there, blocking those crossbows from exiting as well with the knights. Will clean them up completely. But, you know, Max now transitioning into cavalry archers. It's a shame to lose the crossbow, but he certainly did a lot of damage to dogao there, and certainly forced dogao to have to hold back and train knights when he wanted to be training villagers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good pushback from dogao. It was necessary for him to go deep into knights. Because of that, the Max has been able to pull out with a villager advantage. We saw those TCs idle quite a lot. Now the knights have to get on the map for dogao and counterattack in a big way. First couple camels coming out for the Max to try to defend his base. He does have some knights as well. He doesn't look like he's going to sustain a ton of damage here, but maybe he will, because the knights from dogao look like they might run in.
Nice quick walls, though. Max actually going to close that off very quickly and prevent any of those knights getting through that outer perimeter. Nicely done. Meanwhile, Max going to try and attack up in the north, and I wonder if dogao is going to finish that TC in time. It certainly doesn't look like it, does it? As he runs back right there. And again, dogao getting denied a building. Unfortunately for him, you know, he's got a lot of walling that needs to be done, and it's only a palisade wall. It's crap. It just doesn't do the job, especially not in the Castle Age.
Yeah, and it's just another big investment from dogao that the Max is somehow jumping all over. It just seems like the Max is everywhere at once right now, and he's basically making dogao waste a ton of resources and a ton of time. And because of that, we've seen a nice little advantage, or turning into a pretty big advantage now for the Max. dogao, by the way, did come home with his knights because he has to deal with this raiding. Once again, having to kind of play second fiddle here. He's having to react instead of being able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is exactly dancing to the tune of Max right now. Max is the puppet master, dogao is the puppet, and Max is pulling all the strings. So I think that right now, Max is, as long as he doesn't make some silly mistakes, he should be able to just play this game out and maintain a solid advantage. But, you know, at some point he will have to close out the game, and dogao isn't going to make that easy for him. I like this, catching these cavalry archer down in the south at the cliff. And obviously dogao will once again clean up a few of those units. dogao now forced to build a castle here, but that's not working out too well for him either. This might be the 3rd building in a row now that gets denied by Max, as the camels come in, and of course they are going to be even better upgraded than dogao's knights as well. So I think that's it right there.
Yeah, the GG comes in from dogao, well deserved. I have to feel like dogao must be a bit annoyed by how that game unfolded. Every single thing he did from an investment standpoint was immediately punished. I mean, his back dock, his 3 TCs, his new dock, oh man, it just felt like the Max was everywhere at the perfect moment. Not going to get a lot better than that from any player. Great game from the Max.
Yeah, I mean, what a player. Max played that so nicely. I mean, the fact that he's controlling all 4 pawns, that's quite an achievement as well, especially against the Italians, right? Like, the Italians want to be on the water. They want to have the pawns because 50% off dock techs, that's going to make your gill nets nice and cheap. I mean, you can't afford to give 2 pawns to your enemy and let them take the other 2. Dogao just didn't really have the map presence. And it's kind of interesting because I think he got off to a reasonable start. But Max, I just really want to highlight this. I did pick up on the fact that he only had 4 fish, right? Max only had 4 fish when Dogao had built 8. And I think there's a good reason for that. And I think we saw it. It's because Max wanted to pressure Dogao early. He wanted to take the map control early. And if you invest into building fishing ships and you spend that wood, it's going to slow down your military production buildings a little bit. You saw that Max went archery range and stable, and he started making archers, scouts, and spearmen all at once. That's not really something that can necessarily be countered easily. And it allowed him to pile on the pressure as soon as he reached the feudal age, and he sacrificed a few units. Dogao actually had a great KD mid-feudal age because Max had thrown those units away. But while he was doing that, he was claiming all the pawns, and I think it was a distraction tactic. I think it was a really well-planned strategy from the Max.
Yeah, the Max definitely had a predetermined strategy to be the aggressor in that game, and using the Mongols to get up quickly and seize the moment, and extremely well executed from the Max. I think Dogao is going to have a better chance in the next game, but that game looked like pure dominance. That was just a really great match from the Max.
Oh, it did. It really looked like pure dominance. And, you know, that surprises me because Dogao is an incredible player. You know, he's one of the best. And it was so dominant from Max. Pleasantly surprised in a way of how dominant it was. I'm also a little bit disappointed because I want to see really close games here, and I do think this will well, I thought this would be a close series. We'll see what Dogao can do in the next game. There's the schedule for today, guys. Those of you just tuning in, we've gained like 1,000 viewers since we started the first match, so just for all the new viewers out there, this is today's game schedule. We have Dogao versus Max, followed by ACCM versus the Viper, followed by Daut versus Lyri. Killer B and I will be casting all 3 of those sets, and then T90 Official and Dave will be taking over for the last 3 sets of the day. So don't go anywhere. Huge amount of fantastic Age of Empires 2 coming your way. And we're going to be getting things going with game numero 2 in just a second.
I like the pregnant pause between the next casters will be, drumroll, Dave and T90. Can't wait to hear those 2 guys together here on Escape. Can't wait to see the next round, and I can't wait to see who our 2 last competitors will be who go into the next round. As you said, Dogao and the Max, one of these guys will win the best of 3 and go on, and later we'll have Viper and ACCM. Are you ready for the next match, Zach? I think you are.
We're doing it. We are doing it. We're going into Budapest next. And boy, oh boy, this map has the potential to deliver. Budapest is amazing. And we're going in game right now. I think I might have to restart Voobly because I think I need to run it as admin for my hotkeys to work. We'll figure that one out. But welcome everybody to game number 2. Dogao versus the Max, and as you can see by the top of the scoreboard there, Max is leading 1-0 after a dominant performance in game 1. But now we're going into the crazy map. Every single map pool in this tournament has one crazy map, and this is the crazy map for Europe East. It's Budapest, it's a 2TC start, and it is chaos. Killer B, joining me once again. Pleasure to have you as always.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of right off the bat who I would favor in a chaotic match. I mean, Dogao is pure chaos himself as a human being personified, so maybe he'll have an advantage. But the Max put so many problems on the map for Dogao last game with 1 TC. I wonder if Max will maybe even make more problems this game. But let's see, man. We got to see Dogao get a win because it's a best of 3. If Max can win this one, this series will be over.
Absolutely. He's got to do it right here, right now, in the famous words of the Prodigy. But, yeah, Max is patrolling the boar on the left side, and this is something we should watch straight away. I mean, this is not a normal map, so I don't think we can approach it like one. we've got to look at the boars. That's going to be such an important thing for both players in the early game. They want to get both of their TCs running as fast as possible, right? You don't have enough food income at the start of the game to run 2 TCs, and those boar are an absolute key to doing that. In the south, you can see Max is going to get 3 boar under that TC. dogao is just going to get 1. And in the north, I might expect dogao to get 3, but Max is already patrolling, and he's going to make sure he's securing the boar up here as well.
Yeah, Max is really paying attention to those boars early on, and that can give him a nice little advantage in the early game. dogao has an early 1 vil lead, not a huge difference, but a little more TC efficient, I suppose, for dogao. Both guys are going to have the scouts active and working hard. 2 scouts to start this one off. Sometimes you can bring those scouts together in the mid game, like the Max is doing now, and double up on one of your opponent's scouts. And of course, that means the red player has to run away.
Oh, yeah. And Max did really well there as well, because while that was happening, he's grabbing as many boar as he can get his hands on. Look at this. Another boar coming into the TC on the east. Max already has the 3 under the TC in the south. And that's going to be essentially 5 boar there versus 3. There's a 2 boar discrepancy. We should expect to see Max's food income as a result looking a little healthier. But both players are keeping their TCs running right now, which is, of course, going to be super important.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do with Huns since you don't have to build houses. So they will, unless they forget to click or they run out of food, they should be able to keep everything rolling. Lots of sheep under the TC for dogao, so he's not going to have a lot of idle TC despite losing 1 boar. I think it's still going to be a very interesting match. We'll see a probably early kind of weird looking uptime because of the 2 TC play. But so far, small advantage for the Max.
Yeah, I mean, I love this map. It's super cool. Like, you have to find that balance of adding more economy or clicking up to the feudal age. Do you potentially, idle your TC a little bit to click up to feudal a little bit sooner? Or do you keep the TCs rolling all day long until you naturally get the 500 food to click to feudal? It's a great mystery, and we'll see what happens here. It's one of those maps, though, where the center of the map is covered by a lot of trees. Walling is absolutely going to be essential because you just can't keep track of everything all the time, and walls certainly help you to at least mentally stay on top of the game. We did see it yesterday with, I think it was Vivi in his game. It was cast by T90 and Res22, and we saw them walling up the middle of the map, and that's going to be crucial here today as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables to work with to start this game. You've got the 2 scouts, the extra TC. You got to get some walls to basically give your mind a rest, to know that you're not going to get raided on all sides. Right now, both guys are searching around and checking out the map. There is a difference between the 2 pawns, the 2 sets of pawns. On our red player side, he's got 2 medium-sized pawns. But in the south, the Max has 1 extremely large pond. And actually, where dogao is walling now, he would be able to dock that pond if he wants to get a little cheeky later on in the match.
Yeah, the ponds, of course, allow for some fishing. And this map, fishing isn't super important because you do have 4 boar each at the start of the game. You have double the sheep, double the boar, double the deer. You will want to fish at some point. But I've got to say, Max's dock is actually really horrible. It's like so far from the big fish in this little corner of the lake, and it's just, yeah, a little bit awkward for him. But fishing aside, we can already see dogao starting to wall up, and Max has got to be careful that he doesn't let these walls go unchecked, I think.
Yeah, and it's a lot of walls, and it's also a lot of gates. So, I mean, gates do cover territory more quickly, but of course, a lot easier to send your army through that gate. So, dogao leaving open the opportunity to dive in a little bit later on. By the way, Zach, both guys have brought their scouts together as far as I can see on the map. So they're kind of patrolling in a group of 2 and looking to engage. I think the Max has a bit more HP, actually has quite a bit more HP than one of dogao's scouts. So if it does turn into a little bit of a scout fight, Max should be able to strong-arm his opponent. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, he is. I mean, he got the feudal age, and there's just no escape for dogao. So, I mean, you said it. He takes the fight, he kills both scouts, and as you said, he's got quite a lot of HP as well. So if he can break through, maybe he could find a villager kill or 2. I mean, these scouts were pretty useless in the Dark Age, but now they've come together in the Feudal Age. They're weaponized, they can do damage, and, well, I was wondering if dogao might open that gate in the middle of the map there. Fortunately for dogao, he's actually walled up, but he will lose that villager as Max drops a tower here and makes sure that he gets some kind of map control and doesn't allow dogao free and easy access into his base without being able to enter into dogao's base in return.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for the Max to get in here, even just to see what his opponent's doing. It doesn't have to be a protracted tower push or anything like that. Just get some information. Double ranges coming from the Max. Dogao has shifted over to gold with quite a few villagers, looks like 6 or 7. But all I see from him so far is a barracks and stable. So Dogao is going to have the resources to click Castle Age already. Max is actually not going to be able to click soon. So Dogao may be needing one more building. He's going to be up to Castle a lot sooner than the Max, and it is going to be a tower push from Max.
Yeah, you know, I'm so pleased to have an extra set of eyes and ears and a mouth here because it's so hard to keep track of everything on a map this crazy. You're absolutely right. Dogao is clicking to the Castle Age already. It's a lot more passive from him. He was perhaps maybe a little bit falsely safe, feeling lured into a false sense of security, I should say, behind those walls and gates, but they were only palisade walls and palisade gates, and Max, like you say, is tower pushing in right now. Dogao, losing 3 units so far, it's not huge because he does have 53 villagers. It's only a tiny fraction of his economy, which he's been able to build up in the last 13 minutes. I've got to wonder, can Max do enough damage to justify staying feudal this long? Because once Dogao hits castle, what's Max going to do then?
Yeah, Max needs to make something happen soon. Dogao forewent the concept of going with a dock. Instead, he's gone up to castle a lot more quickly, and he's onto his second stable. Should be noted that Dogao has had the villager lead basically throughout this game, even since the very beginning. So he's just been a little bit quicker, I think, in the early game, queuing up vills. It's also worth noting, you already said it once, but that dock for the Max with those 4 fishing ships, those are not fishing efficiently. That's a lot of spent resource that is not really paying off.
Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? I mean, that dock's just unfortunate. I don't think he had the vision on the lake when he built it, but he's going deep on that left side. I mean, he's trying to perhaps split Dogao in 2. Perhaps that could be a viable strat here, but I'm concerned that, you know, Dogao's got 2 stables down. We saw it yesterday. By minute 15, the players were able to sustain 3 stable knight production. We're at minute 15 right now, and Dogao's got 2 stable knight production. It's worth noting, we've not really touched on this, but they're both playing as the Huns, which is huge because you don't get housed as much and you can keep those TCs running effectively. But that also means now he's Castle Age, his stables are working faster as well. Those knights are going to come that much faster also.
Yeah, those knights should be pouring out very, very quickly. +1 defense and bloodlines is in for our red player, Dogao. Dogao is, although he's receiving some pressure, he's in a pretty good spot. I mean, the Max has pushed into the back of his base with a tower, but that tower doesn't really take that much away. Actually, they take away a lot of gold and resource and wood lines, but because the 2 TC start, Dogao is just taking resources at his other TC. That army gets cleaned up pretty quickly from the Max, and Dogao is now rushing down the tower. And the Max has yet to click the Castle Age upgrade, and he's quite a bit behind here, Zach. He's in trouble.
Yeah, he really is in trouble. I think he needs to stone wall and prevent these knights from getting through. I'd like to see Dogao build a dock. Well, he's building a dock. Right, perfect. A dock and a transport to go around these walls, because I think Dogao recognizes the stone walls are coming. Max needs to buy himself some time. I think we recognize that at this stage. But yeah, Dogao's in a great position now. Castle Age is in. He could even add a 3rd TC if he wants to. Or he could try and focus on ramping up the pressure with the military. He's got options, but he's massively ahead, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think Dogao has made it easier on himself by going quick castle into some knights, because archers take a little bit more micro. Knights at some point in this match will be +2, and they'll be able to just kind of run through the economy. If you kind of get lax with your micro for a moment, they'll probably still be okay. The archer group from the Max is going to require a lot more attention, and he does need to keep a mass up, and it's a slow unit as well. So a lot of things going well for Dogao. Just seems to have the better meta strategy and the better execution early on, and that transport is out, and those knights are waiting on the shoreline to jump in.
Well, there you go. 5 knights going to come in now, and Max will not really be able to deal with this too effectively. I can't remember the upgrades on Dogao's knights. We're going to see now. He's got bloodlines and +1. +2 defense would be great, but yeah, he can assault Max in the south. Max's archers immediately turning around to try and deal with this, but he's now going to have a bit of idle time, potentially some lost villagers as well. But nice quick wars from Max so far, and a good reaction as well to save as many villagers as possible. Not too bad, not too bad. Oh, he does it as well. Saves that villager in the south.
Just barely getting those quick walls down for now. we'll see our blue player Max trying to wall out this aggression, but he's still in a lot of trouble. It's also worth noting that both players have stuck to 2 TCs. No real reason to add more. You've already got a huge economy, but dogao has pulled out to a 14 villager advantage at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Max going to the Castle Age now means that one of his TCs will be idle as well. So dogao's lead's going to grow. He does just say, "Ha, I see your wall. I raise you a transport ship." And he goes back around once again. Max now forced to build more gates. And, you know, since user patch, this is really, something that fascinates me. People used to wall with gates, but it wasn't that common. Like, Slam, for example, was always a heavy user of the gate. And, oh, those knights nearly getting through the wood line, but Max seeing the overchop there and blocking it off. But now that you can rotate gates with the mouse wheel, with user patch, gates are everywhere. And it's really nice to see, actually, because I think it's a really good sort of quick wall strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. The quick gate has always been something, like you said, that I associate with guys like Slam. Players often used to use it to get further away from arrow fire, if that makes sense. But yeah, we're seeing more gates going down. And that quick walling can't be understated. It's not the best looking maneuver in the game, but those quick walls can buy you a few minutes. Especially stone gates in this case will actually save the Max's bacon. He might get close to losing too much of his economy to recover if he doesn't quick wall there. So really nice play, but dogao has gotten in with another batch of knights. Not sure where.
Yeah, in the south, he's in there with 4 knights, 5 knights there. But, yeah, these knights are split up now, and Max should be able to clean them up, I believe, with the crossbow that he has. He's also switching into cavalry archer, which we should expect to see from the Huns, as well as adding a stable of his own as well. It's interesting, both players seem to be focusing on military production down in the south, whereas the north just seems to be sort of agreed on that it will be a farming town. But look at this, the great walls from Max, preventing those knights from escaping, and he'll take, well, if he had ballistics, he'd take them all out, but he'll do some damage. It's amazing what ballistics can do, kids. I mean, look at it. So much missed opportunity here from Max.
Stay in school, get ballistics. That's the message of EscapeAoE.
Goes to university, I think, yeah.
By the way, dogao is punishing the Max's, not just the first dock, he killed that with knights, but Max's second dock, he's also killing now with some fire galleys. So dogao is actually looking like the one who's starting a lot of fires in this game. He was a bit passive in the last match. This game, it looks like he's leading the dance. Max's win condition, in my eyes, is going to be to get up a critical mass of archers, cav archers, something of the like, and basically make it so that dogao can't get any value out of trying to raid here.
Yeah, well, Max was trying to build his eco a bit further as well by adding a 3rd TC in the middle of the map here on that gold. But dogao is raiding everywhere. He's killed so many villagers. I mean, 33 kills to 16 deaths, and a lot of that are villager kills as well. dogao pulling ahead by 25 villagers at this stage. He does have a 3rd TC in the north, but you know, all of the aggression has come from dogao here raiding the Max, and Max is going to try and do something in return. He's sending his archers through the middle now, through his gate, to try and catch out dogao's villagers on this stone. And this is a much needed retaliation from Max. He can't just let this go on, otherwise his opportunity to win this game will start to look worse and worse.
Yeah, Max has taken over a little territory, killing a couple villagers and actually walling a few new areas behind those crossbows to try to get a little more piece of the map, piece of the pie. As you said, dogao continues to raid in the south with a couple of knights. Those knights, for now, aren't finding too much pay dirt. Go ahead.
I don't know why Max isn't I don't know why Max isn't walling these knights in.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, that's a great opportunity to wall and then just kill. But he had a villager on the farm. Perhaps he didn't see it. He's probably focused in the north, where he's got some crossbow here being chased down by the knights. But he doesn't have enough crossbow there to really have a comfortable fight. Max is lacking a lot of eco still. But, I mean, I wouldn't say it was over by any means yet. He is certainly behind, though.
Yeah, dogao is just able to transport knights. He's not even taking efficient fights inside of Max's area. Well, it's fairly efficient, but he's not having to micro very much. Just send your +2 knights to wherever those crossbows are and clean up as many as you can. And that's giving dogao, I think, a little bit more mental energy to try to do some other things. His eco looks a lot better. And frankly, I think he's on the path to win this game. The question is, can the Max get out of this trouble by going to Imperial Age a little bit sooner and maybe trying to out-tech dogao?
Well, I mean, there's something to be said that having a lot of heavy cavalry archer with full upgrades would put Max in a pretty good spot. But, I mean, this isn't an ordinary map. There's twice as much gold on this map as well. And I think if dogao has a solid number of knights, which he does have, and he upgrades them to cavalier, he's really not going to hesitate about going for paladin this game as well if he continues on this knight line. Because it's a lot more affordable when you have double the amount of gold to take, and he's pretty confident with the amount of gold he has. He's not even touched a lot of his gold mines so far.
Yeah, and dogao has the opportunity to transport units across the water, and TheMax at the moment does not. Dogao is patrolling that pond in the east, making sure that TheMax can't dock it. Max has redocked the pond in the south, but it's actually not connected, so he can't land units on dogao's base. And if dogao does go cavalier, for instance, he can just keep sending in cavalier, keep disrupting this economy.
Yeah, and I think that's such a huge thing, actually. I mean, maybe I've not given it as much thought as you, since you brought it up a couple of times, but bringing those units in the transport ship, it's a constant thorn in Max's side, and there's really nothing he can do to stop it until he takes the water back and prevents the transport ship from coming across. But like say, every time those knights are in, dogao can almost forget about them. He's not even microing them, but Max has to expend that mental energy on cleaning them up.
Yeah, and I think that that is a nice strategy from dogao so far. He looks like he's done just about everything right in this game. He's trying to get castles down in the middle of the map. Got one already. Probably needs another just to solidify his position. If he can hold off TheMax in this early Imperial Age, I think dogao's advantage is just going to get bigger and bigger until he earns the GG. But right now, Max is adding in more ranges, adding in more cav archers, and he's going to try one last big push with this group.
Well, I mean, he's called the GG right there. He has earned it, Killer B. He has earned it indeed. And dogao there in the end with 117 villagers versus Max's 66. That night raiding absolutely took a toll on the Max there. And it looks to me like dogao was considering going into the paladin line. He was upgrading cavalier in there. He was doing plate barding armor for the knights as well. He'd even denied a castle in the middle of the map from the Max as well, which in my opinion was an unnecessary castle to build. Like, I think he should have built it behind the wall rather in front of it, or at least tried to wall off between the gold and the wood line and the castle to protect those villagers. But yeah, Max just, I think, couldn't handle the pressure, couldn't handle the constant raids, and it eventually got the better of him. dogao takes the win, and what a crazy match. I mean, it's always like this on Budapest. That's just what we have come to expect from this map.
Yeah, Zach, and I mean, it was a fun match, and you and I talked in the onset of this series that these two guys are really closely matched. What's kind of funny to me is that each game has been won by strategy and not tactics. It's just been a better strategy from TheMax in game one, and in game two, in my opinion, dogao had a better strategy. So we'll see who's got the better strategy in game number three. But it's not like these guys are winning with micro or with tiny engagements or with like one little decision. It's just a better strategy from one player winning the match. And I guess we shift to game three of this best of three, and somebody takes home a little money and somebody gets eliminated. I can't wait to see who it's going to be.
Yeah, we're going to go to the last match in just a moment here. Let's have a quick look. It's going to be Valley for the decider. And, well, I tell you now, that's going to be an exciting one as well. It's a very open map, very aggressive map. Very much looking forward to that one, Killer B. And we're going to hop out of this one and straight into the next one. If you're ready, let's not waste any time and jump straight into the third one.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. All right. We are indeed doing it right here as we go in now to game number 3 between Max and dogao. This is the round of 16 decider between these two players. The winner of this will go on to face Vivi in the round of 8. It's 1-1, so it comes down to this last match, which will be on Valley. Joining me once again is going to be Killer B, and before you say anything right here, I've just noticed Max has taken the Mayans. First time we've seen the Mayans, I believe, in well, in Europe East, right? I mean, this is the first time we're seeing this civ.
Yeah, absolutely. And dogao taking the Mongols, which he could have taken in the first match, but he's decided, I guess, to save them for this match. So let's see how this shapes up, Zach. Mayans versus Mongols on a map that's extremely open. Lots of hunt here. That's a nice bonus for the Mongols player. But maybe in the longer run, the Mayans will get stronger as the game goes on. I don't know. Who do you favor here?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Mongols on this map a lot. It's, again, like one of those maps that has all of this deer in the middle, right? So for dogao to come forward, take map control and take the deer, he can pull himself a really big advantage. In the later stage of the game, I mean, Max could do a lot of damage and really hit dogao hard with those cheaper archers, with the plumed archers especially, which I assume he's going to be thinking about in this matchup against the Mongols. So obviously, we'll see how it plays out. I think this game is potentially won or lost in the late feudal, early castle age, depending on how the map control looks, and if dogao is able to lock down the deer in the middle of the map, and of course the shorefish as well, if he gets an opportunity to take those. Right now, though, Max starting off by pushing some deer, and dogao scouting the middle of the map as well, to probably make sure that he's not having his boar stolen or anything like that.
Yeah, the Max here is going to have some issues, I think. Like you said, he needs to lock down his map as the game goes on. If he can defend his resources, he should be able to take things over. But if you notice, there are 3 gold piles and a stone pile just south of the Max's TC, all clustered together. I think that's a key part of his map that could be awkward for him to control. Could see a castle there early if he can afford it in the early castle age. For now, like you said, the guys are scouting the map. Our red player is forward, and dogao is looking to find somewhere to lame. Let's see if he finds it.
Yeah, and to explain why the Max is the Mayans here, the rules state that in a best of 3, 1v1, the players must pick from the civ pool in game 1 and 2, and then the third game they have free pick of any civ that they like, as long as they don't repeat one that they've already picked from the civ pool. So they're able to pick any civ at all for game 3, and in the best of 5, the first 3 games must be from the civ pool, with the second, the last 2 being any civ that they like as well. So the civ pool is only to influence the flavor, but not to define the civs for the whole set, which is why we see Mayans right now. Also, we're going to see dogao coming forward and taking those deer in the middle of the map, not hesitating at all to put a mill down there.
Yeah, dogao needs to use that Mongols bonus. Not a huge note, but a small note that dogao was extremely housed for a moment there, had to loom up early. Totally forgot to even start building a house. So that's going to slow his economy a little bit compared to the Max in the early game. Our Mayans player already should have a little bit of an eco advantage to start things off with an extra vill. But yeah, a little bit of a housing there from dogao. Yeah,
it's worth noting as well. I like that this map has the cows, right? Mayans 20% longer lasting resources. Well, cows have 50% extra food on them already. So you do the math. That's a lot of extra food for Max. Nice to have, absolutely nice to have, but dogao with a blazing fast feudal time here, and like I say, I think this game could be won or lost in mid-feudal early castle, depending on how things develop, and dogao wants to set things off with a lot of aggression right here.
Yeah, and the Max is doing what players often do when they're going to get intense aggression coming from a Mongols player. He's going to get an army out as fast as he can. Right now, we've seen the Max take a little bit of gold, and he's actually queuing the militia already. So the Max is going to try to wall up and actually stick in the feudal age a bit longer than he had to. He could have gone up for men-at-arms, but he's sticking around for what is kind of a true drush here, Zach.
Yeah, and perhaps using these defensively, perhaps he knows that the villagers are taking deer in the middle of the map. He does. He sees it through the fog of war, those dead deer bodies, giving up the game here for dogao. And I think that right now Max is making a great play by making these militia, probably using them more defensively, but walling up. He's closing this off as best he can, and it's going to be quite a big wall, but he's going to have all of his important resources behind it. I'm worried, though, because like you said, all of this gold, same position for the Max. And we saw how this ended up being the downfall of dogao in the first game, or one of, as all of his golds were in the same position in the first game, and he ended up being breached, and he couldn't take the gold comfortably at all. So I worry for Max that that could be the same sort of situation here as well.
Yeah, the Max is bringing 3 villagers in the south to wall up while his Drush comes forward. He's going to harass those villagers on deer, but he shouldn't be able to pick one. They should be fine on their own with a couple of scouts reinforcing now for our player in red, dogao. Dogao's plan looks to be to go scouts, scouts, and more scouts, at least for the moment, which seems pretty obvious to me with all the deer on the map.
Yeah, for sure, but I mean, how much damage is he going to be able to do with those scouts? He probably needs to go forward with a tower, and that is exactly what he's doing right now, sending those villagers to build a tower on those berries. And, you know, as great as it is to be walled, it only takes one hole in the wall for the entire wall to be useless, right? And Max has spent a lot of time and a lot of resources building this wall, and if he gets a single hole in it, the whole wall is just useless. So dogao, I think, doing the right thing. He recognizes Max playing so passively, and Max even perhaps being a little too greedy. He's still not clicked up to the feudal age with 29 vills. He wanted to do essentially what is a drush fast castle, but if dogao can take these walls down and pressure Max hard, Max might not be able to get away with that.
Yeah, it looks like a Drush FC into a castle drop is the plan for the Max. Dogao has to do his best to make the Max spend his stone on defensive towers. That will obviously slow down the plumes. Go ahead.
There's always a hole. There's always a hole. And dogao gets through.
Oh, boy.
Max, he thought he had it closed, but he was wrong. That hill there working against him, and now Max setting his villagers out. That is a misclick and a misplay. dogao will pick a villager off, and those scouts are in. Max is undefended. And, oh boy, Nilly, oh boy, things are not looking good for Max right now.
Oh boy, indeed. The couple militia from the Max are doing nothing on the other side of the map, so keep an eye on those scouts from dogao as they start to roll in. dogao, after that initial tower, has not been taking any stones, so we're not going to see more towers from him. We're going to see continued scouts running in through that hole. The Max is yet to close it yet.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. He's going to go close it now, but that's another scout that's made it through. Yes, it did take a bit of TC fire, but he killed another villager. And now, Max is behind in villagers. He's potentially going to lose more villagers, especially these villagers to the left taking the deer. They are at risk if dogao finds them. Almost 2 guaranteed kills. And dogao could potentially, as well, delay or deny the castle from Max here too. Max can't even build a spearman, and he loses 2 more villagers. Damn. The price you pay for a hole in the wall. The price you pay.
Well, like we said, these 2 guys are extremely equally matched. So far, the strategies have been very different in these 3 games. Of course, the strategy could not be more different in this match. Trying to turtle up, get a castle and maybe some plumes is our player in blue. I think he might have abandoned that plan because he's just left 1 villager over on stone. Max is actually now in the feudal age, and he's got to respond to this. I mean, once the scouts get into your base, you have to kind of give up on the concept of, all right, I'm just going to take stone and go for a fast castle drop. We need the Max to get a military out sooner. He's going to be dead.
Yeah, but I think he is sending the vills back out to the stone now. It's risky as well because, oh, look at that. The scouts, they run through the gate before it can be built, and another villager's going to die. And at this point, dogao, it's like, okay, yeah, my scouts are going to die anyway. I'll take as many villagers down with me as I can. And yeah, he's going to lose his last scout now, but the damage has been done. Max down, I'd say, what, 7 villagers? I think he lost a spearman to the tower. And as a result, dogao's in a fantastic position. All this time, he's had the deer in the middle of the map as well, and that Mongol 50% hunt bonus has been kicking in for him. So that's huge.
Yeah, it's kicking in a big way because he's going to click castle any moment. dogao has just about 800 food, 200 gold in the bank. Max on my screen has about 100 food and no gold whatsoever. So dogao is going to parlay this advantage into an earlier castle age. And what do you think his follow-up is going to be, Zach, once he hits castle, our Mongols player?
Well, I mean, to be honest, he could do anything. He's probably going to do knights by the looks of things. He's not added an archery range yet, and he's adding a second stable right now. So probably will go into knights, since they'll easily take down the palisade walls and just keep the pressure up and raid. Max is, you know, considering this was a Drush FC, he's very far away from reaching the castle age, yet he's still taking so much stone for the castle, which is a bit confusing to me. He's still got 5 villagers taking stone, and I think that's now why he's doing it. We can see he's building the stone walls, but oh boy, it's going to take him a while to stone wall this up completely, and dogao's halfway to castle already, so we'll see if he can actually close off his base. buy himself some time and somehow get to the castle age here. He's going to use a market to try and perhaps fiddle the books a little bit and get himself there a little bit faster.
Yeah, Max needs to do everything he can, including cooking the books in this case. Still a couple scouts roaming around for dogao in the back of that eco, giving some nice intel. You can see what his opponent is up to, how many villagers are on gold, etc. Those stone walls are looking nice. If this was a game with the Viper at this point, I would think dogao might knock down a small area of palisades, and then, or Viper might knock down and then siege tower across, just a little bit of piece of a flare. Unlikely to see, but I would love to see a siege tower here. That would be amazing.
I agree. I think it would be a perfect... it's one of those units, right? It gets mocked all the time. Everyone mocks the siege tower. But seriously, it does have a place in the game sometimes. Interestingly, Max actually had an extra boar back here, and I think this was a bonus boar. I don't think it was one of his starting boar, but he could have taken that, and that certainly could have helped his fast castle out a little bit. But perhaps he didn't think it would be necessary, because he wasn't counting on losing so many villagers to dogao's raid. Really nice as well, though, that dogao has this vision from these scouts. The Mongol scouts, of course, have more line of sight, and although they're on, a collectively 15 health, they are seeing and snooping around, seeing what's going on inside of Max's base, and that's really good for him. He can actually now come and see. Actually, look at that. There's 2 watchtowers being built right there.
Yeah, Max has clicked castle. dogao has hit the castle age. dogao with a forward siege workshop. His knights start to roll forward. Bloodlines with +1. Immediate mangonel coming out to put pressure on these walls. dogao, for now, is actually going to get through and find the stone walls. Go ahead.
He killed another villager on the deer. I think it was a low vill, but he's got now 4 HP between 2 scouts, and he still managed just to kill another villager. Really getting value out of these guys. That's impressive.
So much value from dogao. He's really going to start spamming those knights forward. A mangonel will help him a lot to break through these walls for the blue player, TheMax. Max right now does have a little bit of time because of his stone walls to do something. What that something is continued stone mining and probably a castle drop. He had to make a few towers and stone walls, but he's going for a castle.
Now, I really have to go back to your idea about building a siege tower here. There's already a hole in the front, and yes, there are 2 watchtowers there, but if dogao built a siege tower, he could actually just hop straight over the wall. The mangonel play, it certainly is a bit slower. Admittedly, these walls only have 900 health in the feudal age, but once he's castle, they're going to go up to 1,800. Double the health. And, yeah, the castle will come up, and that's basically going to stop the mangonel in its path. Whereas the siege tower would have already allowed the knights to come over and do damage. So, actually, you can't put knights in a siege tower, apparently.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go.
I thought you could, but then again, to be honest, it's one of those units that's used so rarely that I don't know what you can put in a siege tower.
Well, dogao is trying to
it's a great
put
mystery.
Knights the old-fashioned way while Max's castle's going up. He's trying to bust through the wall with a ram and get some knights in, but it looks like Max will get that castle. Couldn't be in a better spot, Zach. That's exactly where he needed that castle to be.
Yeah, that was beautiful, and we done goofed, but admittedly, I still think he should have built a siege tower anyway.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for the fun. No, Max though will get the tower up, the castle up, and that is beautiful for him. Obviously, we'll stop the aggression in that location, and as you said earlier as well, denying or protecting, the gold. Super important to do that. And meanwhile, dogao's going to turn his attention to the north, while Max will undoubtedly start making some plumed archers once he can afford them. He's going to need something to defend from this. He can't go militaryless forever.
Yeah, dogao has added in a second TC now. He is housed again for just a moment, but no big deal. He's busting down the front walls with a ram and mango. Continued knight production coming in, +2 defenses in. So a small number of plumes is not going to stop this army. TheMax needs a lot more time. He'll get a siege workshop in defense and another TC for himself as well. So 2 TCs for each guy.
Yep, and the siege workshop for Max too. I guess he just wants to make sure that these rams and mangonels can't get through. And since obviously dogao is using knights, he's not got any ranged attack on these guys. He can't snipe the mangonels too easily. But yeah, dogao staying on 2 TCs is interesting. He's just adding his third now. I assume he was thinking, hey, I could probably just do like a 1 or 2 TC aggression and be able to end the game here. But Max's defense has worked out pretty well, and I'd like to see the third TC from Max soon, but he has to be very careful with that. He doesn't want to do it too early, doesn't want to risk investing too heavily into economy, neglecting his military, and then falling foul of dogao's, well, massive army right here.
Yeah, Max is trying to hold the line with some towers, but dogao he's on a nice hill. We haven't really stated a lot about that hill, but it's a beautiful hill location for him. Should have a nice little bonus for a long time as he launches attacks from that side. Our blue player has 4 or 5 plumes so far, still not enough to amount to much.
He's made a siege tower.
Oh,
just saying.
Siege tower spotted.
Just saying. He did it. And he's going to try and put the knights in it. And he's going to realize I can't put the knights in it. So chat, we all make mistakes, including dogao.
Oh boy.
That's hilarious, man. That is hilarious. But I want to really...
just made me look less dumb.
Yeah.
Thank you for that,
Thank you, dogao. Thank you so much. I really want to highlight right now, though, that dogao is not walled. He's been so confident in his position, he's not walled. And I think Max can counterattack.
Yeah, absolutely. The Max will have to consider counterattacking because his plumes don't amount to much. He can't fight those knights. He has to try to do something sneaky or just stay at home and defend. You're still laughing about the siege tower.
You can write that. I mean, come on. I mean,
I know, right?
Man, that's just brilliant. Anyway, Max will actually, by the looks of things, go for the counter attack. But dogao's been pretty smart. He's actually built an outpost here, and he's gonna see it. I love the usage of the outpost. He'll see the plumed archers poking their head out, and they're gonna run back again. So maybe now dogao is gonna think about walling up if he saw those plumed archers.
Yeah, dogao with those, actually another outpost to the south. He's continuing to outpost up the map. He's playing very, very intelligently here. His strategy so far has looked better than the Max's, putting some pressure on early, trying to punish the Max's wall up in attempt to fast castle. Other than the siege tower fail, I think dogao has played this one really, really beautifully so far. But the Max is still alive and well at home on 60 vills. Mayans player is adding in plumes. And those plumes, Zach, in the south, they're going to get caught.
They are, but fortunately they are fast. They are very fast. Look how quickly they can run. And they should be able to get away from those knights. But again, the outpost, MVP of the game right now for dogao. Now, I've got to say, okay, dogao's actually running back. I was wondering if he was going to go in, because Max did hold the door open for him there. Dogao obviously doesn't want to risk getting his knights trapped inside. You never know what's behind those walls after all. But I really feel like dogao has perhaps not done as much damage as he could here. I feel like he could have perhaps pressured the wall a bit more. He's kind of, gone for this aggression and then not really gone all in on it. He's just kind of attacked some houses, cleaned out the buildings, but he's not really gone for the wall or tried to breach it. And even when he had an opportunity to run in, he actually ran back. And why do you think that might be?
Well, dogao, you can see he's dropping a castle on top of that hill in the middle of the map. dogao is playing for the bludgeon down sort of victory here. Rather than trying to get in and raid and slow the Mayans player down, he's going to build up an army on top of this hill. He's going to get Imperial Age. He's going to get all the techs and fixins. And then he's going to try to roll in with an army that the Max won't be able to break. Question is, the Max on the way to Imperial Age, is he going to be able to put up a stout defense here? I'm not sure. That hill is an awkward hill, Zach. That's a really good spot to push from.
Yeah, I think Max dogao is very happy with the map control, and he knows that he's going to be ahead economically since he was castled much sooner, and he's right, he has got more villagers. So he's probably thinking, okay, once I get Cavalier, get a power spike from that, and once I can start massing up some siege, and upgrading my siege, I'm probably going to be in a pretty solid position. What he probably wouldn't expect is Max's Imperial time. He's actually only a few seconds behind. 12 seconds behind is Max right now. But there's another castle on the hill from dogao, and although that is a great position for a castle, I'm not sure about 2 castles, because if he does get pushed back, he could potentially lose both of his castles there. But okay.
Look in the south. Do you see the engagement in the south?
I did see the knights, but I didn't expect the GG right there.
Ooh. That does feel like an early GG, especially in a game that is an elimination game in such a big tournament. Max was in trouble, Zach, but that's an early GG, don't you think?
What? Yeah, I don't know. Max obviously not in a great position, but why GG now and not 10 minutes ago in that case? I mean, if you didn't GG because you wanted to fight on and try and continue to play on, then at least see it through. I can understand why he's GG'd, but if he's gonna try and play on 10 minutes ago, why not try and play on now? It's not like the situation is different now than it was 10 minutes ago either.
And it's not like he saw the Imperial upgrade finish, because it hasn't finished yet.
No.
So he called it before the Imp upgrade completes because he's that confident. I mean, granted, dogao is going to have absolute strong arm position, especially after cleaning up these plumes from the Max. The Max's win chances are quite low, but I thought he'd fight on a bit more because the game is so important. Wow. Okay. So, well, we started off the set saying that the Max's current rating is 2,400 and dogao's is 2,401. And I guess the higher rated player won this game. So no big deal, right, Zach?
Yeah, of course. We saw that coming a mile away. That 1 point difference, clear victory for dogao. But no, I mean, the real reason why he GG'd there is because he lost his plumed archers in the south. I mean, Max was probably thinking that his only way back into this game is if he could surprise dogao with a raid, take down a bunch of his villagers, and then, you know, do some eco damage to equalize an economy. And I guess he was thinking, okay, I might have an opportunity to do that during the Castle Age when I started making plumed archers. But since he got found by the knights, he was like, well, that window of opportunity is now closed, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Plus, I don't have as many units at home to defend. But even still, I mean, I don't know. I think he could have at least tried to play on a little bit more, especially given the situation. But we all could see that dogao was clearly in a very advantageous position. But there you go, GG for Max and dogao. Dogao's going to go through to play versus VV.